to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic and the puzzle that so many of you have been requesting over the last week or two. This puzzle is called Exclusion, and it's by none other than Phistomefel. And I don't know what it is about this puzzle. I looked it up on Logic Masters Germany this morning, expecting it to have 5 stars out of 5 for difficulty, and that's because we have had so many. We've had about 20 requests from people who've had a look at the puzzle but have not been able to solve it. So there's obviously something about this one that is really perplexing, even some very good solvers. So I hope I will be able to do it justice today and to get through it. I don't know at first blush why it's called Exclusion, but you can see it's very beautiful because it is completely symmetrical in a way. And by that I mean, if you sort of divide the grid, if we were to fold the grid in half, you can see that everything matches up. It's just that the colour changes of everything. So the thermos become sort of purple lines on the other side of the grid. But other than that, it's just the same. I mean, it's how do you set stuff like this? It's just amazing. I shouldn't be surprised. Phistomefel is a total, genuine genius. A man who has, I think, taken the whole world of Sudoku forward just on his own with bizarre brilliance over the last few years. So anyway, I'm looking forward to trying this, as you can probably tell. I'm also looking forward to the fact that it's the Masters starting tomorrow. You can see I'm wearing an Augusta an Augusta top today. You know, my great ambitions in life: play Augusta, play Cypress Point, and play Pine Valley. All places I would jump on a plane tomorrow if I thought I could play them the following day. So if anyone wants a free Sudoku lesson out there, you know what to do. But yeah, very, very, I get very excited this time of year because of what goes on over there in Georgia. And yeah, I will be watching the Masters with bated breath. I probably better not tell you who I think is going to win, just in case that would constitute advice or something. Anyway, what else have I got to tell you about? Oh, I've got a frog in my throat. Not literally, but I feel like I'm about to cough. I shall try not to. We've got the Knightmare Sudoku Hunt, Knightmare on Sudoku Street, going on Patreon at the moment. Do have a go at it if you haven't had a chance to yet. It's by the Skunkworks. They have done an absolutely amazing job. 19 fantastic puzzles. If you finish just the first 5, you'll be in with a chance of winning the competition. If you do manage to solve all 19, you will get a shout out on the channel in due course. And then what else? We've got Gas 2, which is genuinely approachable Sudoku app that we have just released. I think it came out last week, by Clover, Bill Murphy and Philip Newman, of course. These wonderful puzzles. Mark does a video every few days where he tackles the gas puzzles that have appeared on the Discord server. This pack of puzzles are completely new, and so you might enjoy those if you're getting into variant Sudoku especially. So if you try Phistomefel's puzzle today and it proves a little ambitious, check out the gas puzzles. They're a good way of building up the sort of mental mapping you need to tackle the harder puzzles. Then I've got birthdays to do. Let's say happy birthday to Lexentine. It could be Lexentine as well, who's had a couple of tough years. But I gather you're going to be at home today having a very nice day with your cat Lucy, nice coffee and painting, which sounds great. But you don't like chocolate cake. Well, I can forgive you for that, Lexentine, and I hope you have a great day, of course. And then another special birthday to a little chap who turned 8 recently, Eli. And I gather you've just started solving Sudoku with your dad, Garth, and you're quite enjoying it. Well, that is fabulous to hear. I really, really like hearing about our young viewers. So Eli, keep at it and you'll be a champion in no time at all. And then I've got some names for successful solvers of last month's Patreon reward. So very well done to the following people: Daryl Olson, Anthony Zed, April and Kevin Fanning, Jana Enderman, Ben Verkhoven, Barbara Kirkova, CJ Richard, AG, Howell Adams, Emma Tierce, I think it could be Terse as well, Sindra Thomason, William Callan, Evan Dysart, Hazlitt 92, Karamveer Kumar, Kuraban, Michelle Gillies, and Tim Andrews. And with Tim Andrews, that takes us into the top 100 of names. So we've got about 100 shout-outs left to do. So you can see how many very brilliant solvers we have amongst our patrons. The answer is an awful lot. Anyway, let's turn our attention to Exclusion by Phistomefel. Alexa thinks I've said her name. Alexa is wrong. But these are the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Digits increase along a thermometer starting from the bulb end. So I haven't done a thermo puzzle for a while. Well, let's look at this thermometer. This doesn't have to be a 1 just because it's the bulb. Let's make it a 3. And then you have to sort of increase as you go up the thermo. So this would be a totally, I think, legitimate way of filling this thermo. 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. The digits on a purple line form a non-repeating consecutive set. These digits can appear in any order. So imagine we worked out this square here was a 1. Then we would know, because the digits on the purple line have to be consecutive with each other, this must be a line that contains 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and we could arrange those in any order we liked. So that's all of the rules. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And first question is the left side or the right side of this grid more restricted? Or no. Okay, I suddenly thought that this row seemed quite restricted. No, I don't think I can do anything with that. I'm thinking about 1s and 9s, by the way. That's sort of where my brain is going at the moment, and that's because 1s and 9s are the most restricted digits on thermometers. Because if we look at this thermometer, there's literally only one place on it we could possibly place a 9, and that's in the tip. If we try and put it here, that would imply this digit's at least 10, which won't work with Sudoku rules. Similarly, the 1 could only go in the bulb, because if we try and put a 1 partially up the thermometer, the bulb would have to be a 0. And obviously, if I manage to pen a 1 or a 9, or peg a 1 or 9 onto a purple line, that's very helpful. You know, if this square was a 1, then we would know that that line had to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, no, I'm not really seeing anything here. I think what we're going to have to do is I'm not exactly sure, to be honest. I think it's going to be some sort of shading trickery, because if, for example, we look at those two cells. Oh, hang on. Yeah, no, let's think about it differently. I had another idea. What about those 8 cells? Let's look at those 8 cells together, because that's quite interesting, I think. They all have to be different. Yeah, okay, and that's the same on the other side of the grid, look. And why is that, you might say? Well, remember that the purple lines can't contain a repeating digit. So these all have to be different, and these 3 cells see the whole of that line. And it's the same over here, because although this is a thermometer rather than a purple line, the same principle applies. These 2 digits here can't repeat on their own thermometer, because that would imply, you know, that sort of thing, where the numbers are not repeating as they go up the thermometer, and that's naughty. So this is 8 different digits, and this is 8 different digits. Now, I don't know what that means, I'm afraid. I'm trying to see if I can work out where the 9th digit goes. No, I can't. Alright, let's try. Those 2 digits have to be on that thermometer, I think. Because these 2 digits can't repeat on there. So these 2 digits, in terms of where they can go in box 7, they can't go here. They can't repeat on their own purple line. So they go there somewhere. And then by Sudoku, they go up here somewhere. Which is that interesting or not? These 2 digits go on this thermometer. Ah. That digit also, well, this is a bit strange, but let's reverse that logic. Where does that digit go in the world? And we know it doesn't go on the top of its thermometer, so it goes in one of those 3 cells. And then by Sudoku, it goes down there in one of those 3 cells. So that now means that 3 of the 4 digits on this thermometer are on very specifically that purple line. At least 3. Exactly 3. Exactly 3. Because these 2 we know are up there somewhere. So let's just say they're at the top. I don't know where they go. Oh, this is going to... I'm just going to get rid of my yellow highlighting for a moment. Those 2 digits I know go down here somewhere, and they are 2 of those 3 digits. Let's just imagine they're the top 2. Well, this cell now, that cannot go on this purple line, can it? Because that digit, it can't go here because that would be implying that it appears twice in those 3 cells, and it sees those bottom 3 cells. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of the yellows at the top there because they'll mislead me. But basically, and I'm going to get rid of those as well. But basically, we've now learned that this thermometer has 3 of its digits in common with this line. Actually, is that actually doing anything? This thermometer. And one of the digits midway along the thermometer. Hang on. Hang on. So my pencil marking was nonsense, wasn't it? Well, it wasn't nonsense, but I hypothesized that this digit was the one on this thermometer that didn't appear on this line. That cannot be true, because if these 2 are on this line, and if that one's on this line, and this line is continuous, oh, hang on. Is that possible? Oh, I'm going mad here. No, if that was 1, that was 2. No, it doesn't work, because that this is a continuous sequence. I think I'm going mad here. Hang on. So if that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's 1, 2, and that's 5, there's no digit that could appear here that isn't on this line. That's really interesting. I think that's right, isn't it? I'm sort of trying to just play with that thought in my head. But I think what this is saying is that even something like this wouldn't work, because this digit here has to be, in terms of its order in the world of numbers, it has to be between the two. It now has to be between the two yellow numbers. But if it's between the two yellow numbers in terms of its value, it is on that line, because that is a continuous sequence that contains both yellow numbers. So in fact, what I think I'm proving now, weirdly, is that one of these two digits is exactly there. No. That's exactly not what I'm proving. They're there, aren't I? Because this digit must not be on this line. Sorry, my tummy rumbled there and I got distracted. Yeah, so these two digits appear on this thermometer. That digit does not appear on this line. So that digit is on the other Renban in box 4. Ah, okay. So maybe that's what I've got to do. I've got to think about how many digits are in common. Are there? Oh, hang on. Have I missed something here? Is this isn't a 9-cell region, is it? I.e., it's not the case that those digits are all... No, that isn't true. I suddenly had a horrible thought, and I wondered whether those 9 digits all had to be different, but they definitely don't. And that's because if we look at those digits at the bottom of column 2 and ask where they go in this box, they don't go in their own column, they don't repeat on their own line. Oh, hang on, now I'm confused again. But and one of them is that one, isn't it? Ah, gosh, goodness, this is really confusing. Yeah, because this digit is up there in box 1, it's therefore one of the blue digits. So 2 of the blue digits down here, we don't know which ones, but 2 of the blue digits by Sudoku have to go on this line. I've got no idea how to show this. It's very, very difficult to show. I'm just going to put them there for the moment. Okay, so this is that is a sequence of 5 digits. And 2 of these 5 digits exactly overlap with this 4-cell Renban. So in effect, we can view... Right, okay. So in effect, I can view those 9 purple line cells as a 7... They are a 7-cell continuous sequence in some way. Because there are 2 digits in common and 2 digits definitely not in common along this lollipop. So imagine this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would imply the 4 and the 5 had to be on this top Renban along with 6 and 7. So we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, and then these 2 squares would be the 8th and 9th digit in the puzzle. Right, okay, so here is a mildly interesting point, which is that because we've worked out that the Renban here, or the 2 Renbans I should say, contain a 7-cell sequence. If you imagine the 9 Sudoku cells, 1 to 9, lined up, how are we going to cut a 7-cell sequence out of those 9 numbers 1 to 9? Well, we could start at 1, and if we started at 1 for the lollipop, we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on it, and those 2 squares, which are not on the lollipop, would be 8 and 9. If we start with 2, we're going to have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on it, and these 2 squares, the middle of our lollipop, are going to be 1 and 9. But if we start with 9 and come downwards, we're going to have 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and we're going to have 1 and 2. in the middle of our lollipop. So these digits are either extreme digits, a 1, 2 pair, an 8, 9 pair, or they are the two extreme digits. They're 1 and 9, and we've got 2 to 8 on the Renban, on the Renbans, I should say. Okay. Now, can we play about with the fact that we know that we know these two squares are not. They're not. It's impossible for either of those to be a 1, isn't it? Because we've worked out they're partially up the thermometer. So can we put the 1 down here? That doesn't feel like it's correct to me. Why? My brain is resisting that thought. My brain does not like the idea that there is a 1 on this Renban now. Because these would have to go there, if there is a 1 on it... No, it doesn't. You get too much of an overlap. That's right. That's really, 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 really clever of Phistomefel. Not of me. I'm the numpty trying to interpret this nonsense. But because these digits cannot be two low digits without the thermometer breaking the world from the logic we looked at earlier, we know neither of these is a 1, because that would imply we could make this a 0. Now, if we put a 1 down here, let's think about what that means. One of these digits goes there. Is that the digit 1? No, it's not. And that means that the digit 1 down here would have to go on the 4-cell Renban, where this would form a 1, 2, 3, 4 Renban. But if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4 Renban, and this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Renban, we have 4 digits in common between these Renbans, and we know there are only 2 digits in common from the shading. So that's not going to work. And that means this Renban has no 1 on it, which means it now has not only 5 on it because it's a 5-cell Renban, but it also has 6 on it. And we... well, okay. Can we do any better than that? There's no 1 on this Renban. So there's either a 1 in one of those 3 squares, or that is a 1. I've got a feeling we can. I've got a feeling we can do that. You know. How do I? Is it really possible that there's a 1 on this Renban? If there's a 1 on this Renban, that Renban's 1, 2, 3, 4. The overlap cells would have to be 3 and 4. So this Renban would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this would be an 8, 9 pair. So if this was 1, 2, 3, 4, and this had 3, 4 on it, there would be a 3, 4 down here. This does. Hang on a minute. If this is 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I'm trying to do this in my head, and I'm finding it quite hard to visualize. So if you don't mind, let's just have a look at this. If this is 1, 2, 3, 4, then this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we know the 3, 4 have to be down here. So we'd have this situation in the world, and we would know that this was an 8, 9 pair. Now, We know one of these is 3, 4. So the other digit, which is 5, 6 or 7, goes here. But we also know that these two digits have to be on this rem band. So this would then have to be 5, 6, 7. That's weird. Good grief. Because these have to be those two squares, but that has to be the sort of the extra digit. This would have to go 5, 6, 7. And this would be a 1, 2, 3 or 4. No, 1 or 2 that would be then, wouldn't it? That would be a 1 or 2. I don't know. Sorry. I know that I'm going off on a tangent here. I was just trying to understand whether it was really possible to put 1 on this rem band. I don't think I can disprove it. So there's something here that's more subtle about how these lines interact with one another. Maybe sorry, I'm now getting stuck. I know that this is there's a 7-cell ren band sort of hidden within the lollipop. Then this is either 1, 9, 1, 2 or 8, 9. What did I just look at? I looked at if this could be 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, hang on. Where does 9 go in this column? Actually, that might not be a good question. I mean, all I was thinking is it can't go at the top. So is it forced to be, if it's on a ren band, then isn't this cell going to become problematic there? Oh no, hang on. Maybe it's not actually. Maybe it's fine. Maybe I can't quite. Again, I'm really struggling to see my way through this. It's complicated. So if 9 is on one of the ren bands, then we know that the fictitious ren band, the 7-cell fictitious ren band, is 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. We know that these two squares, therefore, are a 1, 2 pair. So we couldn't put 1 or 2 in the tip of the thermo there. We would know, well, it depends then. Do we know which side of the ren band is the high side? Because I'm thinking of the 7-cell strip now, because the low ren band could be 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, and then there would be a 6, 5 overlap with the small ren band, or the small ren band could be 9, 8, 7, 6, and then there would be a 6, 7 overlap. But that feels... I think we just have to have a look at this. I think I'm just going to have a look at it. I'm going to do it. Let's imagine the low ren band was... See, this looks like it's getting quite constrained immediately here. So if we go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the low ren band, then we know that the overlap is 5 and 6. So that ren band must be 3, 4, 5 and 6 in some order. We don't know the order, but that's what it's got to be. So that means that 5 and 6 live down here. And oh, look, these squares become 7, 8 and 9. And we've got to put them partially along a thermometer. So they'd have to be 7, 8. This might work, actually. No, no, it doesn't work. That's got to be 9 now, and that's got no fill. Wow. Okay, well, that doesn't work. Now, was there a way of seeing that without doing that sort of case testing? I'm sure there is. what's the way of seeing that without the case testing? I don't know, and I'm not even sure that my case testing has taken me very far, because of course this could look differently if we put the 9876 at the top, although that's putting a lot of pressure on this digit. This might just break very quickly, because now we've got a 6-7 overlap, haven't we? So this bottom one has to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, this doesn't work at all. This is slightly easier to see, because if we look at this box now, we have a 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9 sextuplet, and this square has to be selectable from 3, 4, and 5, one of the remaining digits, and it's the fourth cell along a thermo. And you can see even if we make this 5, we would have to have a 1 or a 2 up here, and we can't have either. So that we could go 3, 4, 5, but this is definitely broken. Right, okay, so that is a long-winded way of proving that 9 in this column is not on a Renban and it's not on a thermometer. So 9 is in one of those squares. Now that's very interesting, because now we can think of our 7-cell virtual thermometer, which we know doesn't include 9. So we can't have 2 as a left out digit here, because that would imply that the digits 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are consecutive, and they most certainly aren't. So we can knock out the 2. This is down to 1, 8 or 1, 9. Now what did we look at? I looked at 1, 2, 3, 4 here, didn't I? Which caused 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on that one, and put 8, 9 here, and that sort of worked. So I think what we need to look at is whether this can be 1, 9. Let's look at that. So if this is 1, 9, how does the world work then? Again, you get this difficult question, which I feel I must understand at some level, but I don't quite. And the difficult question I'm trying to, my mouth will eventually get round to articulating, is this one, which is in the sequence 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which I know sits on my lollipop. Is this 2, 3, 4, 5, or is this 8, 7, 6, 5? How do we know whether this is the high side of, I mean, it's obviously the high side of the lollipop, but why does it have to be the high side or the low side of the numbers? And the answer to that is, I don't know. How can I think about this differently? There's something very, it's very, very, it's fascinating. That's a good word for it. It's fascinating. And I feel I'm on the cusp of understanding it. But I haven't quite got it yet. So, okay, well, let's test this out. So if we were in this world, let's imagine these squares are low. So they could be 2, 3, 4, 5. That causes a 4, 5 overlap, which we know the 4 and the 5 can't be in the same box. So these squares now have to be 6, 7, and 8, which puts 6, 7, and 8 here. Good grief. Yeah, there is something to do with this line, isn't it? And pushing this up now. Because by Sudoku, this is a 6, 7, or, well, this is an 8. Oh, I see. So these are always sequential. These are always sequential. They were sequential when we looked at it the other way round with 8, 9 here. This had to be 5, 6, 7, didn't it? Although now I'm questioning whether that was right. I might be wrong about that. I'll have to check that in a minute, because I've got a horrible feeling that I might have. That would have to be 6, 7. That has to be 8. That now can't be. That would have to be 9. So in effect, that becomes a longer thermometer as a result of the extension of the Renban. That's so strange, right? So the digit down here that ends up here because these two digits have to end up there. Oh, I can nearly see it. Still not quite getting it. Okay. But, well, I mean, the fundamental problem with this, though, is why is this wrong? I tell you what I want to check. When we did this before, I think that was sequential. But I think it was sequential on 5, 6, 7. So, in fact, the other thing I want to check, no, before we depart the scene for this, is I want to check if these were high digits. How does it work? So if these were high digits, let's leave this 6, 7, 8, 9 in here, but realise that these are not relevant to what I'm about to do. I want to make these 8, 7, 6, 5 and understand how this works, because now there's a 5, 6 overlap with the lower thermo. So the 5, 6, which we know. So now this has that just utterly breaks, doesn't it? But this has got absolutely no fill at all. So in this world where the top of the lollipop is high, because you end up having to fill this with quite a low digit then, and you can see it, this can't be a 2, 3 or a 4 without breaking the thermometer. You can't put 4 here because 3, 2, 1 won't work. So in this iteration, the only thing that works is to have the high end of the thermometer, no, the high end of the lollipop low. The high end of the thermometer, no, the high end of the lollipop is low. That's what we've got to remember. Now, let's just check. Now, I want to check again with this one. So if we make the high end of the thermometer, the lollipop high here, do we run into exactly the same problem? Which is then we have a 4, 5 overlap here, which forces, whoopsie, this to be, yeah, that just doesn't work, does it, at all? So we have actually conclusively proved that the high end of the lollipop is always low. So in this iteration, this has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, which causes a 3, 4 overlap. And now look, yeah, yes, we did. That's what we got before. We got 5, 6, 7. So, now 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 7. This has to be sequential with 7, but can't be 6. So this is weird, right? So this is like a virtual. This little cell here is a virtual extension of this thermometer, but this thermometer for these 4 cells acts like a Renban, a sequential Renban, because these are either going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, or they're going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, which is weird. Now, what we don't now the other thing we've learned is because the top side of our lollipop has to be low digits, it's either 1, 2, 3, 4 or it's 2, 3, 4, 5. So it always has, you've got there first, haven't you? It's always got 2, 3 and 4 on it. So the overlapping digit is the overlapping digits between the top of the lollipop and the bottom of the lollipop are either 3 and 4 or they are 4 and 5. So 3 and 4 or 4 and 5. So there's always 4. 4 is always overlapping. So 4 is always down here, which means that digit is not a 4, and that digit's not a 4. I know. Hang on. I know that I don't know this is 8, 9. One of these could be 1. This could be a 1, 9 pair. But the 2, 3, 4 pencil mark is correct. The high side of the lollipop is low digits. That's quite interesting for 9 in this row. Oh no, hang on, this has been... Hang on, ever since I got 9 here. Oh, I might have missed something here. Where does 9 go in this row? It can't go in bulbs of thermometers or partially along thermometers. So the moment I got a 9 here... bobbins. 9 was in one of those 2 squares. If I'd thought about it, I'd have known that for a while. Can you really put 9 there? Because that's going to be big. No. No, you most certainly cannot. Oh, hang on. Was this where we were meant to start? Certainly for... This is a very strange arrangement, because the reason I think this is strange is that that digit sees the whole of that Renban. And it might, obviously that digit sees the whole of that thermo. But what I'm thinking there is, if I make that 9, we know that these are 7, 8 in some order. So this digit here has to be higher than 7. Well, it can't be anything. Because if it's 8, well, it can't be 8, there's an 8 in one of those, and it can't be 9 because it sees 9. So this doesn't work at all, and that means bobbins, bobbins, bobbins. That's been a 9 for ages. This is a 9. That's just evil. Frankly, that's just evil. Right, so now I guess what we're asking is, where do we put... Does this have to be 8? Well, maybe not. Maybe not. But it looks quite tricky, this. It looks quite tricky, this. Where do I put 8 in this row? Now, it clearly can't go there without making that a 10. I haven't thought through that one yet. I'm sceptical it can't be there. Now, maybe it could be here. That would be a 9. It definitely clearly can't be in either of those 2 squares. That's very much ruled out. Okay, so maybe there are 3 spots for it. I'm just going to check whether 8 can go here. So this digit now would have to be a 6 or a 7 because it can't be a 9. So that digit now has to be a 7 or a 9. Maybe this is okay, actually. Oh, sorry. I thought this was going to prove more problematical. If that's a 6, that's got to be a 7. If that's a 7, this has got to be a 6 or a 9. But it couldn't be a 9 if that's a 7, because that's going to have to be a 9 to not be an 8. So this would always become a 9 in this iteration, because that seems to have been proved to be a 6-7 pair. Why couldn't this be 9? No, it couldn't be. This is a very weird structure, this sort of crossing swords pattern in the middle. Okay, but the main problem with this crossing swords pattern is I haven't been able to prove this can't be 8, and I haven't been able to prove this can't be 8. Although if this is 8, I think a lot of things will be forced, because that's 9, and now you can't put 9 on the on the Renban. So this would have to be in some order 5, 6, 7. Which may or may not matter, I don't know. I've got to keep an eye on the fact all those 8 digits have to be different as well. Also have to keep in mind that this 5, 6, 7 would have to be in those squares at the top of a thermo. So 9 in this column would have to be in one of those 2 squares. I don't know. It's tricky, actually. Sorry, and I'm off wending my way around the puzzle in a strange way again. Right. So let's think about this a bit harder then. What are we really saying here? The answer is I don't know yet. Sorry. Sorry if you've worked this out. I haven't quite got there yet. I'm doing my best to try and understand it. You see, 7 can't go there. I've had a thought. So maybe it's not 8. Maybe it's 7 and 8 in this row. Oh, this is complicated though, and this might not be, again, I might be missing the quick way of seeing my way through this. But okay, I was thinking that obviously I've worked out this Renban is fundamentally low at the top of my lollipop. It's either 1, 2, 3, 4 or 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's not got 7 and 8 on it. Now, I haven't been able to disprove this square from being 8. And I'm guessing that 7 puts even less pressure on it. So that can probably be 7 or 8. This one definitely can't be 8. I haven't worked out whether it can be 7 or not. Let's just think about that for a moment. If it was 7, obviously you'd have to go 7, 8, 9. And this 7 sees both sides of the Renban, which must have 7 on it because it's got 8 on it. So that is absolutely not going to work. Right, so this is a candidate for the 7, 8. Let's make that green to indicate it possibly could be a 7 or an 8. But this one isn't. Obviously, if that's an 8, we go 9, 10. That doesn't work. But I've worked out this can't be a 7 as well. Because if that's a 7, this is 8, 9. And because of the it's a weird one, but look at that region now. We know that that is 8 different cells of the Sudoku. So where we know there must be an 8 or a 9 in these 8 cells, because we can't miss out both the 8 and the 9 from 8 different numbers in Sudoku. So where are we going to put the 8 and the 9? And the answer is nowhere, because in theory we might have said we could put them down here on the thermo, but no, but that's going to force these to be higher than 10. So this doesn't work at all. And now that is a candidate for 7 or an 8, but there literally are only 3 candidates. I'm going to look at this a bit more carefully, I think. Is there some reason, because this was reflecting digits down here and things, wasn't it? Is there some reason that one of these squares can't be 7 or 8? Let's go back to 8 in this square. That forces this to be 9. And it forces these squares to be 5, 6, 7. Now, is there a problem with this? Is there an obvious problem with it? I don't think there's an obvious problem with it. I really don't. But there might be a problem with it. If I can just figure out how to think about this. So I know those squares are these squares, don't I? So these are from 5, 6, 7 now. Ah, that's it. That's beautiful. Oh, that's really clever. Okay, this is going to do some work, I think. Because where do we put 8 in column 8? There's nowhere for it to go, because the thermo goes backwards. Ah, this is how to think about this. This is how to think about this. Right. Let's colour this not green for a moment. Let's colour this red. I've thought of something, I think. Now that digit, whatever it is, it goes in one of those cells in box 3. So it's low on the thermo. It's in one of these squares. So it's not possible for these cells to all be lower than this, because it makes the thermo go backwards. Some of these at least need to be higher. Now what this doesn't do, of course, though, is deal with the question about whether or not this could be 7. So if this is 7, I need... Right, let's get rid of those squares now. I need... It doesn't work. It's the same problem. There's so much stuff going on here. I have a horrible feeling that there is a beautiful, beautiful path through this, you know. I'm struggling to link it all together. Because look what this 7 does. It forces that to be 8 and forces that to be 9, which forces this to be 8. It can't be 9 because that's 9 now. But now look, I've got this problem again on this Renban. Because I cannot put 8 in this string of digits, I've got to make them lower digits. And then by Sudoku, we know that those lower digits end up here. And let me just reiterate that logic. That's because these two cells in this box can't go there and can't go on their own thermometer. So those two end up down there and therefore up there. So these low digits have to be at the top of the thermometer, whereas that digit, which is high, is lower on the thermometer, and it breaks. So we've definitely proved this cannot be 7 or 8, and if it can't be 7 or 8, I've got a 7-8 pair in the row, and this square is huge. Surely there must be 7 on the Renban now, because it's either 8... It's either 8, well, because this either is a 7 or there's an 8 on the Renban, which pushes 7 on the Renban, obviously. Okay, so what we could do is pencil mark. Mark would be so proud of me. Okay, let's pencil mark it. 5, 6, 7, 8 for that cell. And 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for that cell. If that's 9, that is impossible. Yeah, that's not 9. Because if this is 9, it's still complicated to even see this, at least for me. If that's 9, that's got to be a 7-8 pair. But then this digit has to be higher than 7 or 8, and yet not be 7, 8 or 9, and that's not going to work. So that cell loses that ability. So now we're in a world where we've definitely got 7 and 6, haven't we, on this Renban? Because it's either 8, 7, 6 or it's 7, 6, 5. So this has got 7 and 6 on it. So that digit, which is higher than 5, is not 6 or 7. So it's 8 or 9. can tell you exactly what I'm going to be doing next, you know. I'm going to be looking at where 6 goes in this row. That's what I want to think about next. But hang on. Let me just think about the rest of this. What else could we do with this? By the way, I can totally see why we're getting so many emails about this puzzle. This puzzle is really hard. At least, well, it is really hard. No, it is really hard. The connectivity between these shapes is, for me, again, I am always caveating this with, for me, it's really complicated. It's fascinating, these lollipops and how they work together. That they're yielding all sorts of weird and wonderful relationships. But seeing clearly, at least again for me, how they operate is really challenging. Now, if that's a 6, what are we saying then? This would have to be at least, so we'd have 7 and 8 on the Renban. So that would be, oh, hang on. That seems to break the world. Oh, this could be huge. I thought, when I said I'm going to look at where 6 goes here, I thought it was going to go here. I'm now thinking it might not go here. I'm just going to do this slowly. If that's 6, you can see this has to be higher than 6 than the thermo. So it's 7 or 8, which means it forms a pair on the Renban with these 2 cells. But that means this has to be consecutive with 7, 8. We know that can't be 9, and we know it can't be 6 now, so it would have no fill. So that's not 6. We know 6 is not here, because this is either a 1, 2, 3, 4 or a 2, 3, 4, 5 line. So 6 is over here now, come on. Well, I can tell you it's not there, because again, this thermo cannot go 7, 8, 9. We've already looked at this, because we'd have to put 8 and 9 into those 8, so we'd have to put 1 of 8 and 9 into those squares, and that cannot work. So 6 is now in one of these 2 cells. Now, either is going to be fascinating. Can that be 6? Do we have the same problem? If that's 6, we know that we cannot make this an 8-9 pair without giving ourselves the perennial problem of where do you put one of these digits in the 8-cell sequence. So that tells us that one of these digits is a 7 and one of these digits is higher. Now the higher digit than 7, the 8 or the 9, cannot go in any of those squares, full stop, can it? You can't put an 8 here without breaking the world. So the 7 has to go there. Right, why does that break? Okay, and it might not is the answer. So if we put the 6 there, that has to be 7, this has to be 8 or 9. No, it does break. It does break. Because we can put the 7 on the lower part of the thermo. It can go there, but the effect of that is to put 8, 9 there and break this square. Wow. Wow. Okay, nobody can tell me this is easy. Right, so 6 doesn't go there, 6 goes here. And if 6 goes there, that square is at least a 7. But this Renban now... This Renban... I'm pausing here because I'm worried that I've made an error. That's higher. But I've got to put 6 down here now. So these squares have to be higher than 6. So they've got to be from 7, 8 and 9. And we know those squares by Sudoku end up on the Renban up here. So there must, because 2 of these digits are higher than 6, but we can't put 7 and 8 and 9 up there without breaking this square. One of the digits up here must be lower than 6. So this has got to be 5, 7, 8. And that square has to be a 9, I think. Which means that square's an 8, and that square's a 7, 6, 5. Which means this is not 5, this is not 5. This square is not 8 or 6. This square is not 8. I've got 5, 7 pair in this row. Wow. The other thing, of course, is that the 2 digits here that appear up here by Sudoku can't include 9. So that means that's 8 and that's 7. So this is not 8. Although I think the fact that we know that this is 5, 6, 7 means I effectively know what these squares are. I just can't remember. So we know 6 has got to go there on the thermo, because we've got to have we know it's got to be on the thermo down here, and we know that there can be no gap between it and 7 because we can't put 6.5 on the thermo. So we get 8, 7 here. This square's become an 8, look, by Sudoku, so that square's not allowed to be 8. So this is 8, 7, 6. There's no 5 on this, so that becomes a 7, that becomes a 5, that becomes a 6. That square is not 8, that square's 9. Wow. Just wow. I mean, this is so sublimely brilliant. I am again left in this position of just feeling utterly mentally inadequate by a Phistomefel puzzle. I mean, I feel like I'm getting through it, but I just feel that like I'm being left behind by the skill of the man whose puzzle we're doing. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Now, if that's 5, 6, we know this is a 5, 6 pair, don't we? Because of the logic we did earlier. So this becomes 5, 6, 7. This was a low lollipop, so that's 8, 9. That must be right. That must be right. Yes. There's simply no, once this can't be 8, you can't put 8 on this lollipop. Not lollipop, top of the lollipop, if you know what I mean. So this is 8, 9. This is 5, 6. This top of the lollipop becomes 1, 2, 3, and 4. The overlap is therefore 3 and 4. So we've got to have 3 and 4 down here, along with, let me just get this right. The overlap is 3 and 4. So this is, what am I doing? Have I messed this up? Hang on. Now I think I'm going completely mad. I can't be going mad. No, it's 3, 4, and 7. That's fine. That works. 3, 4, and 7 down here. Yeah, and that is a consecutive sequence. This is a consecutive sequence. I've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 virtual 7-cell sequence. This square is not 3 or 4 because I know that there's a 3, 4, 7 triple down here. So this is a 1 or a 2, which means that's a 1 or a 2, which is very, very unsurprising. And I'm going to guess that there's only one place I can put 5 in this row. I mean, this row is doing so much magic. 5 can't go there. If you put 5 there, there aren't enough higher digits that are not 6, 7 and 8 to put on the thermo, so that's 5. That's fairly straightforward, isn't it? So this is 1, 2, 3 and 4. We can't put the 4 at the base, and we can't put the 1 in the middle. And we can't actually, this can't be 2, because that would be a 1, 2 pair and break this square. So this is at least 3 or 4. Which means, in fact, 5 is on this thermometer, I'm now noticing, by Sudoku. 7, 8, 7, 8. There's a 7, 8 down here. Oh, 6 in the corner. Doesn't get a song, but it's still very welcome. These squares have got to be 1, 2, 3 and 4. I think I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4s everywhere. 9 is in one of those 2 cells, because I can't put it halfway up along a thermometer. 5 and 6. Can I put 5 or 6 here? Possibly, actually. Oh, although actually maybe not. 5, 6, that could be 7. No, but that can't be 6. Oh, hang on. Okay, if I put 5 here, that's got to be at least 7, and then I can't put 8 or 9 here, so this cannot be 5, and for the same reason it can't be 6. So 5 and 6 are a pair at the bottom of column, this column. So now, I've not put 1, 2, 8 and 9 in the box, that's got to be a 1 or a 2, because it can't be an 8 or a 9 on a 3-cell thermo. So these are 1, 2, 8 and 9. 8 and 9 are definitely over this side of the world, which means 9 is in there, that cell by Sudoku. Is that interesting or not really? 7 is in one of these 2 cells. How could that be 4? If this is 4, that's 5. And then what's that digit? It's got to be 9. That cannot be 4. That's got to be 3. Which gives me a 1, 2 pair in the row and makes this square of 4. Bingo. 4 goes in the grid. 4 goes in the grid again. Now, 1, 2, 3s and 7s. If this is... I'm going to come back to this again. I think this has to be a 4, 5 pair, doesn't it? If this was not a 4, 5 pair, so if we try again, we cannot put 5 here. That's the secret, isn't it? You can't put 5 there. So 5 must go there. 4 must go there. This is a 1, 2... Oh, 1, 2, 3 triple now here. Okay, these squares are from 1, 2 and 9. 8 and 9 go in over there, so that's not 9. So that's a 1, 2 pair left over this side. 5 is doing the 5 and the 6 on the other side of the grid. 1, 2, 3s and 4. Ooh, okay, that looks interesting. These have to be low, but that can't be that low because it's the 3rd cell on the thermo, so that's got to be a 3 or a 4. Oh, if that's a 1, 2, 3 or 4, that cannot be a 7 or an 8. So that seems to give us a pair at the bottom of column 7. And it means that, look, this square is a 1, 2 or a 3 only. That square is a 2 or a 3. Right, so that square can't be a 1, can it? Because if that's a 1, this square has to be from 1, 2 and 3, and we'd have too many cells in this row that are low digits, i.e. that are 1s, 2s and 3s. So that square is not a 1, which means I've got a 2, 3 pair, which means this square is a 1. Aha! Now I've got a 2, 8, 9 triple there, which puts 2 there and 1 here. So 1 is now in one of these 2 squares. And that's not a 2. In fact, look, we can work this out now. These squares, oh, these are 1, 3 and 7, are they? Okay. The expression I'm looking for there, I think, might be bobbins. Okie doke. Right, that's not a 3. I can see that because I've got a 2-3 pair here. 1, 2, 3. So that square there is a 4 or a 5, I think. I think that's the only things it can be. That's not a 2. And that's because if we can't make this higher than 5, I mean, not only because it can't be 6, but it has to be in a sequence, doesn't it? So this, oh, I see, yeah, okay. Just as this couldn't be a 1, this can't be a 1 either. So that's a sort of sensible thing to note, which seems to place a 1 in box 5. This one is doing some other work over here. 2, this column's been done for ages, I just haven't looked at it. That's got to be a 4, because 4 is a higher digit than a 2. So that's not a 4, that's not a 2, this is a 2. Oh, that's a 3, here we go. 3, 2. Oh no, that's probably not the way round I wanted that to work, actually. That's now not a 3. Oh dear, dear, dear. So if that's a 2, that's a 4. And if that's a 4, that's a 5. Can we do anything? Can I do any magic with this? I think the answer might be no. Oh, sorry folks, if you're spotting the next step. All right, we can do some Sudoku. We've got 1, 5, and 9 to place in this box, which means that becomes a 3 and that becomes a 4. So that, oh look, this all gets resolved. Okay, maybe this is going to help us. That's not a 3. That square is a naked single. It can only be an 8. I think we've got 1, 7, and 8 to place in the row. So 8, 8, 7, 1, 3, 7 at the top. No 3s in the corner today, I suddenly notice. Okay, so this is now a 1, 2 pair, which means this is a 3, 4, 5 triple. That's not 5. That feels like it's trying. We feel like we're trying to get towards some sort of triple or quadruple in column 6, don't we? Alright, that's not a 1 by Sudoku. How do we resolve all this? It's going to be... No, I thought I was about to announce something sensible, but I'm going to keep my powder dry on that front. Have we got... I don't know, actually. I can't see how to do this. Oh, the 2 here. It's Sudoku again, is it? So that's 4, that's 5 now. That might help. That's now 3, so that's 4. 3, 5 up here, which we can now do. Okay, 5, 3. Here we go. 1, 6, 7. That square is a 6 or a 7. 1, 6, and 7 down here. 5 gives me a 9 over this side. So that's 8, that's 9. We get a 1, 5 pair at the bottom of the grid. 7, 8 pair here. That's a naked single 4, because it can't be a 7. So that's a 7, that's a 3, that's a 4. And for our next trick, we will argue about that being a 3. That's got to be a 2. So we need 2, 6, and 7 in the middle box. That's a naked single. 7, 6, and 2 go in. This column needs 8 and 9. So 9 and 8, and 8 and 7, and 7 and 1, and 1 and 5, and 5 and 6, and 6 and something. 3. my goodness, is this correct? Oh, time taken 0. What do you mean 0? That's taken me a hard-earned 75 minutes. Well, okay, that's flown by. That's 0 amount of time. That is a crazy clever puzzle. Yeah, and my sort of comments halfway through the solve, I feel, are completely and utterly justified. We're dealing with just a higher level of intelligence here. That was very, very hard for me to understand. I had to sort of resort to, testing what things looked like to understand the relationships between the digits. And what did we do? We worked out that there was this weird sequential thing going on the top of this thermo here. And that got me wondering about high digits in this row. And then we got the 9. And then I worried about 7s and 8s. And there's this, this is beautiful, the way this works. The fact this can't be a high digit, because, you see, I wonder now whether actually the way to do this is to start on the right of the puzzle. Maybe if you start on the right, you can establish useful things. Like perhaps, this is just conjecture, but maybe you can work out that you can't put 1 in any of these positions, or maybe you get the 9 in one of those, get the 9 here, and then maybe if you can force 1 over here, and then you know what that Renban is, everything would flow from that. But I wonder whether I've approached the puzzle backwards. I don't know. It's fascinating. Even things like this. This is such a simple thing. It's a Renban crossing with a 3-cell thermo. And yet once you start to have to put high digits into this arrangement, it becomes absolutely forced, and there's loads of lovely logic that emerges from it. How do you do this with a symmetrical arrangement as well? It's just where we just need to, I think, really rejoice, frankly, that we are living in a time where we are blessed with seeing puzzles like this, and that a mind with this amount of firepower is devoting time to setting Sudoku puzzles that we can all try. That's just luck, isn't it? That is plain and simple luck. And this is, it's just brilliant. It's brilliant. I'm going to read the comments on this one with interest. Am I right? Was this pretty difficult? And how did you see the lollipops? And did you start on this side? Was it better to start on this side or not? I don't know. I don't know. But thank you so much for staying with me on the journey. Exclusion. Why is it called Exclusion? I suppose it might be something to do with the fact that you have to exclude, you're sort of trying to exclude digits from runs of digits, aren't you? Maybe it's something to do with those cells or those cells. I'm not sure. But again, someone will enlighten me. I'm in no doubt. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic. And if you did enjoy the video, please tick like. We would be most grateful. Even subscribe. That would be even better. We'll be back with another edition later on. See you then.